as long as he knows what happened here. As long as there's somebody to tell him. How far could I get anyway? Colored man running through the German countryside. It'd be target practice.
It started with a noble idea, letting colored men join the fight. But no one in the Air Corps ever considered what might happen if one of those Tuskegee men ever got shot down. No one ever asked what would happen if a colored officer was suddenly captured and sent to a stalag like this one. But Lincoln Scott was shot down, and he was sent to a stalag. And once here, he wasn't just thrown in amongst white enlisted men. He was quartered with them. Men like Staff Sergeant Vic Bedford. Bedford, the real Bedford, was a man unknown to us. Hateful, vengeful, with a bigotry that ran bone deep. A man who simply couldn't stomach the thought of sharing a roof with colored officers. So he badgered Scott, baited him, even refused to respect Scott's rank. Then conspired to kill the only friend Scott had in this camp. That's why Scott followed Bedford out on the night in question, crept up behind him, and snapped his neck. Members of the board, we take no pleasure in prosecuting Lieutenant Scott. But a capital charge requires that we put aside our passions and sympathies, wedding ourselves solely to the truth. It is this. Lieutenant Scott was positively and unimpeachably identified at the scene of the crime. He had motive, he had opportunity, and he had an animus for the victim which was confirmed even by his own testimony. Lincoln Scott is an officer. He is a soldier. But he is also a murderer.
There's a tenet that was drummed into all of us from our first day in basic. Sometimes one man must be sacrificed for the good of the men around him. Someone has to be first to hit the beach, or to jump on a grenade, or to draw enemy fire so coordinates can be drawn from mortar teams. Vic Bedford learned that tenet too, except Vic got it backwards. Vic thought that sometimes a few hundred must be sacrificed for the good of one. Him. For Vic, the watchword was expediency. One day, he traded with our captors to get hard-to-find parts for a radio, earning him the loyalty of our commanding officer and his staff. And then Vic would tell the Germans where to find that radio. Go. In exchange for the murder of Lamar Archer. The Army has its share of cowards. And Vic Bedford was one of them. It also has heroes. Soldiers like Lincoln Scott. Lincoln Scott, who wanted nothing more than to serve his country. And serve he did. 9 down German fighters, 30 missions. Until one of those missions landed him here. Stalag 6A. Where Vic Bedford and the sad sacks Bedford called friends were lying in wait. Scott was a target from the second he got here. He suffered insults, threats, but he did not retaliate. He did not kill Vic Bedford. No. Someone beat him to it. Could have been any number of people. A guard who thought that Bedford had cheated him. A fellow Kriegi who discovered Bedford's treachery. Even one of our ranking officers as punishment for ratting out that radio. So this then is our victim? A bigot? A traitor? A rat. Enemy of every Kriegian camp. Question is, who hated him enough to kill him? I did.
Wait a minute. What are you saying, Lieutenant?
I killed Vic Bedford, sir.
Lassen Sie Antreten zum Baumentabell.
I want every man in the compound present for the execution of Lieutenant Hart. Antreten lassen zum Abendappell.
Very brave. Very brave indeed.
Colonel, this man has rights.
Not anymore.
This court still has to deliberate on the matter.
I am the court now.
Let's come in.
Herr Oberst! Was ist los, Fussel? Wir haben ein Problem beim Zielen. Wie viele Fälle?
Beim ersten Zielen
37. Vorbereiten, schon herreiten.
Es ist niemand krank. McNamara ist nicht in seiner Baracke. Herr Oberst.
I want every man who participated in that court-martial removed from the line. Even traitors.
Alle, die an den Prozess beteiligt waren.
Silence! Line them up for execution! Line them up! Now!
These men knew nothing, Colonel.
That's quite the conference. Thank you. Line them up!
You will be the first. These men knew nothing. You will be the first.
Colonel, they knew nothing!
Herr Schießen! Die sind zuerst!
Anlegen!
Die sind zuerst!
Herr Kommandant!
So, your men are saboteurs as well?
No, Colonel. They're just soldiers. They were following my orders. I assume complete responsibility.
That's very noble of you. Seems you won our duel after all, Colonel.
No. We both lose, don't we?
Yeah. And now you wish to trade your life for theirs.
Yes, I do.
Very well.
Alle Mann sofort zurück in ihre Baracken!
We buried the colonel in a marked grave behind the camp. 3 months later, the German army surrendered. Our stalag was liberated. The war was over. We returned home, to America, to our families, where Lincoln Scott got the chance to explain the word honor to his son. Honor and courage, duty, sacrifice. Lincoln's son came to understand those words. And so have I.